Hi guys, good morning. This is gonna be a very different video. It's kind of like a flip-flop. It's a flip-flop video. I don't know how many of these I'm gonna be making. We'll see how it goes. But why is this video different from all the rest that I've made so far? Well, firstly, it's the language. I'm gonna be speaking English in this video. When I was making videos in Canada, I was speaking Russian. I guess I was trying to reach more of like some Russian-speaking viewers to tell them about life in Canada. So why am I speaking Russian in this video? It's because I'm not in Canada. It's because I'm in Russia.
Я уже и поплакать успела. Мы завтра летим в Россию.
I'm gonna be making a series of videos showing you life in Russia. And I hope that, you'll have a better understanding about this country everybody talks so much about nowadays. Actually, I'm going to be telling you about two countries. I'm going to be telling you about Russia, and I'm going to be telling you about Moscow, which is really important to understand because these are two very, very different places, and you'll understand why when I show you. So the first myth that I'm destroying today is that it's always winter in Russia. No, it's plus 34 outside. I don't know how much it is in Cairo, maybe 37. How much is it in Toronto today? The same, 34. So no, Russia doesn't have winter all the time, even if you're in Siberia. So that's a myth. So today I took you along to my personal place of energy. And this is a place that I personally would call Russia. It's not a pretty picture that you see on news. It's a completely different picture. But that's the Russia that I dearly love. And that's my place of charging. And this is the place I grew up in, spending all my summers. It's a village approximately 100 kilometers away from Moscow. Not that far, not that far. This is the road from my house. Well, hard to call it a road, but yeah, you see, nobody's mowing the lawn ever. Well, maybe sometimes. So yeah, places that don't belong to anyone, like private property, they are not taken care of by the government. Only unless you want to make it pretty for yourself, you can do it yourself. So see this house, for example, the lawn is mowed over here. They did it themselves. It wasn't done by anyone, though this does not belong to them. The fences, let me tell you about the fences. So we do have these houses. These houses are mostly summer cottages. They don't have central heating or water system, but they look nice. They're big. But what they all have in common is a huge fences. You will not be able to see and enjoy the beauty of the house or the lovely landscape which might be behind it. So in general, we're not much about landscaping. So I don't think that landscape designers have much of work to do here, because mostly gardening and landscape designing, that's something we do as a hobby. This is a neighborhood road. Yeah. So these places are called community of gardening households. Kind of like that. During the Soviet times, these lands, like pieces of land, were given out to the workers, like factory workers and stuff, for free. And they could build anything they wanted and have gardens to supply themselves with vegetables, whatever. Because there wasn't a lot of things that people could buy at that time. So kind of that was like a benefit from the government that people would get in order for the government to seem good. So since those times, a lot of people have their own gardens. They plant potatoes, cucumbers, whatnot. If you probably know that, you guys probably heard that we do a lot of different pickled stuff, and we've been doing that for centuries because, well, firstly, nobody had fridges, and we had to have some food in winter, so we would like make a lot of pickled stuff. So they would hold this food in underground cellars, and that's what they would eat in the winter, and that's still something we do. Not only pickled stuff, we do jams, we do kind of like, you know, when you want to make a soup, so you would make a concentrate for the soup. So during winter time, you can just put the jar in the pot, add some water. It's kind of an instant made soup, but healthy. So yeah, we keep these cottages not just for fun, but also for like work, which helps us out economically. This is the government land. They didn't plant anything here. It looks like nothing has been planted this year. Probably they left this field to rest for this summer. But in other years, you would have potatoes, for example, be planted here. And people cannot, of course, take those potatoes for themselves because it belongs to the government. But they still do. They still do. And the air is nice. That's a very big forest. What people do is we go to the forest a lot. We go for mushroom picking, we go for berries, hunting. So we spend a lot of time in the woods. That's a very popular hobby for Russians. This road I'm walking right now, they made it, I think like 4 years ago. Before that, it was the same as like the one I showed you previously. This is what a typical garbage container would look like. Actually, this is a pretty nice one because it has a roof over it. You can see the garbage all sticking out. I guess the garbage truck would be coming anytime soon, but as you see, there's like no lid or anything. The other ones do have, but this one, there's no recycling. And the thing is, we don't have that many animals like coming. We don't have animals at all. Like you saw the forest that's right here, but you can't see the squirrels, you can't see the rabbits, like you can't see anything. So not raccoons or anything, nothing goes and gets into that garbage. So in a lot of my videos you see me showing Canadian cemeteries, which I'm so pleasantly surprised by because they are so well maintained. Now I'm going to take you to a Russian cemetery. which is right by this old what's left of it church. So see, we're going in. This is the entrance to the cemetery, and you even can see a billboard here, which was put in also a couple of years ago. See a lot of information over here. As I said, it was put in a couple of years ago, right? Nice job. Tells you about something. Whatever. Here's the cemetery. There's like a government organization which is actually supposed to be taking care of this cemetery. Like people pay money for their relatives to be buried on like their piece of land. So I'm gonna take you guys over. We're gonna say hello to my grandma because she is buried on this cemetery. So maybe now you can understand why I have so many videos showing how great Canadian cemeteries are. We're actually walking, like, this is the road to get to the path to get to my grandma's grave. Yeah, see all that beauty and grace. Okay, I found my grandma. Hi, Grandma. Okay, you see the difference? I mean, I'm not talking about the everything that could be talked about here, but I'm talking about the fences right now. Like, it's very common that Russian graves have fences. We're marking our territory, saying this is our land, and we can bury more people here. You know, I haven't been to my grandma's grave for a year, so I came here right now to see what should be done here, and then I'm gonna come back probably tomorrow to clean up. So yeah, this is it, the Russian cemetery. Not the Moscow cemetery, right guys? Not the Moscow cemetery. I might be able to show you a Moscow cemetery in the upcoming videos, and you'll see the contrast. Okay, we're gonna leave the gloomy place. Just wanted to pay your attention to a couple of more things that we have different. Firstly, it's the pictures on the gravestones. We have them practically all, well, in most cases. And the flowers. These ones I'm throwing out already because they're no good and dirty. But these artificial flowers is something that we leave on the gravestones. Not much of like real flowers. I mean, after the person is buried. So yeah, I wanted to tell you a couple of things about this church. This church was a very big, beautiful church, but during the revolution, the communists, they didn't believe in God, so they took it apart and they used the bricks to build houses for themselves. That's the only thing that was left of it, and they're kind of trying to preserve it. That's their idea of preservation. And they built a little new church over here. Sometimes there is service there. I guess not that often these days, because like most of the people who would go to church, like the grandmas that came for the summer to the village, they've passed, including like my grandma. There's nobody left. In this village, my grandma was born and she grew up here. So this is a very old village. One of, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands villages like this in Russia. So once again, just to be clear, mostly people do not live year-round in these cottages. It's like a summer cottage, right? Some of them you can use them for winter time, but like for short periods of time, because most of them would be using electricity to keep the house warm, and probably would not have water because there is like no general water system here. Everybody gets water from wherever they can. I will show you how we do it, but mostly it's like wells. And they live in Moscow probably, or somewhere in small towns like around Moscow, and come here for the summer weekends or vacations, and that's it. I mean, when I was teaching, I had the whole summer to myself, so I could spend my summer here. So on my way home, you can find raspberries. Like, yeah, just here, raspberries. They come from the neighbors. But since they're not on their land, anybody can have raspberries. So whenever I have friends visiting, they always stop by at these bushes to get some raspberries. I think I have more somewhere. Yeah, down there. So if it's like not behind your fence, it's not yours. It's public property, right? You want some raspberries, you go and get them. I'm gonna get some myself. There's so much. So my place doesn't have that big fence because I hate those big fences, and my grandma used to hate those big fences. So you see, between me and the neighbors, there's like this, yeah, it's a fence, but it's not like one of those where you can blind yourself and the rest of the world away. This is a grill, a Russian grill, which is called mangal. And a little later on, I'm going to show you how we use it. A little room tour. I'm going to show you as is, and the door is closed. Okay, so I've unlocked the door. You see there's a little sign saying this property is protected by police. So when the robbers come here to steal, they see this little picture and they believe it and they run away. I'm gonna close the door because it's hot as hell. My laundry hanging. So this is called a terrace. A lot of houses would have a terrace, where right now it's like extremely hot here. But honestly, this kind of weather is not that typical. We wouldn't have 34, but we would have 24. And when it's 24, it's very nice to just be sitting here having some tea or coffee and enjoying the views. So this is like a place where you would have guests over. And this is my know-how. I put this door. I love it because it's see-through. It makes your place bigger and kind of gives you more air. Okay, so we're in the house. We're in the house. Over here is kind of the main bedroom where I sleep. And here there is a kitchen. This is the living room. That's the TV. It's small. Everything is small. Everything is much smaller than in Canada. So this is the washroom. And we are lucky to have water incoming into the house, right? Okay, so now guys, I'm gonna show you the famous Russian toilet. There it is. That's the toilet. And that's how most of us have it here. Because there's, as I already said, there's no central plumbing. So some of the people would have it put inside their houses, But my grandma was always against it because, you know, for example, this shower right now is clogged and we need to fix it. Like somebody has to go under the house to fix the pipes, and it's happening like every single season, I mean summer. And who knows what would be happening with the toilet, right? And it would have to be fixed all the time and it could be smelling. Anyways, my grandma would always say that you can do whatever you want after I die. So yeah, I love this kitchen. I didn't have an opportunity to like spend a summer, a whole like complete summer with this kitchen because we installed it right before we left for Canada. So just enjoying my couple of days here with this kitchen. This fridge is Japanese. It's older than me. And let me remind you that I'm 42. And then goes upstairs. Okay, so it's very small. And over here there's a little desk, study place. And there are 2 bedrooms like this. This is just some junk that has to be thrown away. So this is another nice bedroom. And this is kids' room. There are 2 sleeping places here. Not much of storage places, but you know, it works for the weekend. There's the view. That little place is my neighbor's shower. It's called a banya, the Russian banya. And they don't have a shower like I do inside the house. They don't even have running water like I do inside the house. So when they need to take a shower, they go there. They go into this house. You see there is like a pipe coming out. So this place, it's like a sauna, right? So they would, there's like a heating thing over there. I don't know how to call it. Like a place that heats up, you heat it up with wood, kind of like a fireplace, but you don't see the fire because you close it. And so it heats up the place, and it gets the temperature to a very high degree. It could be like 70, 80, 100 degrees. So you get all sweaty and stuff. And then in like a little different place there's like a shower that you can take. But when it's this hot outside, you don't need to heat it up. Usually people just take a shower there and that's it. This is the AC, a modern AC here. I mean, we don't have air conditioning practically anywhere. I would say even in apartments in Moscow, like some people would get one installed right now, but most of the people don't have AC at home because yeah, that kind of hot weather is not very typical. Not only that, it's not cheap, right? So in a summer cottage, you would not have an AC. My friend does, so her place is like Disneyland for us. We go there to chill. And anyways, I'm gonna get a few of these today from a shop, and I'm gonna tell you about this shop also. Okay, so my son said that he and his friend are gonna come home for lunch, so I'm gonna do the Russian barbecue for them for lunch, and I'm gonna show you how we use the mangal, which is outside. I just wanted to show you this little curtain that we have over here, and a lot of us do have this curtain in the houses. I'm not sure, maybe of course in Canada we have that too, but this is really convenient when the door is open on like a cooler day. The door would be open, and this protects us from mosquitoes. There are a lot of mosquitoes in this area, so none of the bugs get in, and you do have some more air in this little terrace where you would have your like dinners and lunches. So yeah, let's get the grill cooking. This is my first English speaking video. Just wanted to say that it's so hard to make it and speak English all the time. This is my first experience of doing this in front of the camera. So I do apologize for the slow talking. It's like, sort of like, you know, I'm doing an exam. I don't know, I'm taking an IELTS test, but it's worse. Kind of. Okay, so anyways, what we need is the coal. So over here I have some coal. We're gonna take that, or we're gonna use some open coal, like some bags here that are open already. We're gonna use those probably. And we need something to get the fire started. I didn't find like a special liquid that we usually use to get the fire started. So I'm gonna go the old way and use some paper and try to get this thing like burning. We'll see if it works. So this is in its own a process, and usually men do this, not women. And I just don't have one right now currently. And what they do is they get some drinks and like they socialize around that fireplace we call mangal. And so they kind of watch the fire while the women would be helping out with the meat, getting it prepared to be placed on that thing. While the fire is burning, I just wanted to tell you a little about the food that we eat here. And this is something really cool and we don't have in Canada, and I think that this is a great business idea, because literally people living like from the Soviet countries, we have our own cuisine, which is very similar in all our countries, and it's really a problem for us to find ready-made food in Toronto and GTA area, which we like, which we eat, which we are used to. And here we have plenty of companies that do that. You can just walk into any store and get like ready-made meals. Well, for example, these are like ready-made dumplings. You just heat up in the microwave. What is cool about this? They show you how many calories there are in this portion. So you just stick it in the microwave and you don't have to cook. So things like that. We like cutlets, so they have things like that as well with calorie intake over here. And there are salads, there are different cakes, like anything, which has a very reasonable price and is very tasty. And so this is a great business idea for Toronto and GTA, and I really encourage somebody to start that business, because I'm gonna be the first customer in that place, and I'm positive you're gonna get like plenty of people getting that service. I just don't have time for that. So please pick up my idea. Oh my god, it's so hot. So the coal is burning. I have about 15 minutes to get the meat ready. What we use for the thing called mangal is a thing called shampur. I found some professional ones. Look at that. You make these little kind of square pieces when it's done. Okay, see? That fits. And now comes out the shlik, the shashlik. You actually can't see the fire. Look at that. So we're getting ready to go for a swim, and I'm gonna show you guys where we swim. We don't have Lake Ontario. You know, my Canadian friends tell me that if I want a third eye, I can swim in Ontario. And when we look at Ontario Lake, we see like this crystal clear water, sandy beaches, water is being regularly checked. You have what's that fish called that swims only in clean water? Forget the English name of it. I'll write it over here. So anyways, I'm gonna show you where we swim, okay? So you just have an idea about what we are comparing it with. And see, we haven't have, well, anyways, just stay with me. We got our shades on. We're gonna just grab the keys and head out to a pond. We're going to a pond, okay? In probably the neighboring village. We'll see how it goes. One more interesting thing about life in Russia. When we wash our clothes in a washing machine, none of us, with an exception of some very rich people, have a dryer. So this is how we usually dry our clothes. Where is it? Ta-da! We just hang it out somewhere. If there is an opportunity to hang it out in the outside somewhere, that's the best thing you do. But if not, it's somewhere in your house or apartment. Okay, so let's go. This is the parking area. That's my son coming. Yeah, it's illegal for him to be driving that thing right now. Okay, and so we continue our journey.